when we go through a breakup, especially one in which we want to get our ex back, we have a tendency to be in an energetic state of clinging. Strangely, we end up pushing people further and further away. So in this video, we're going to talk about how by letting go, by reversing that energy dynamic, instead of clinging, instead of repelling, you can start to bring people back into your life, have them be attracted to you instead of having you constantly feel the need to pursue them. This is something that I have experienced firsthand in my own life, and the difference that these two energy dynamics make is massive. So we're going to talk about some things that are commonly recommended to make somebody miss you. Take a long time before you text somebody back, or pay less attention to them, act like you're interested in somebody else. These things can work, but if you don't understand the underlying energy dynamic, you're actually going to make things significantly worse, even if they get you your ex back. So we're going to talk about why that is and what you can do to avoid that, how you can use these things correctly and end up in a better place than I'm sure you are right now, because I have felt all that pain, all that anxiety, all that stress, that feeling of your entire world crumbling. A couple years ago, I was going through a relatively painful breakup. This girl I really, really liked. I thought she was my person. I thought this was gonna last forever. And over the course of maybe a week, things went downhill. We had a couple discussions. We're talking about like, hey, how are things going? And it became clear that things were not good. All of a sudden, I felt an incredible amount of insecurity. I dug my claws in. I started clinging. I became extremely, what I later realized was needy. At the time, I thought, I'm going to make her happy. I'm going to do everything for her. I'm going to be the perfect boyfriend. Then, why would there be any problems, right? This is projecting that energy outwards. When we are clinging, we are projecting our needy energy at the other person. Because what I was actually saying was not, I want to make you happy with all my people-pleasing behaviors. What I was saying is, I want you to stop acting all weird and go back to the way things were before so that I get to feel whole and complete again. That is the energy of neediness. It is actually the energy of control. That is the clinging. When we are clinging to this relationship, when we are unable to let go, when we're saying, I need to be in contact with this person, oh man, how can I get them back? When that is the dominant thought, we project our energy onto them, but not in a genuinely giving way. We project our energy onto them to get something back. After this week, when things were getting rough and there was a lot of tension, you know, and I was feeling very needy, I'll show her that I don't actually need her. I'll prove to her. I said, you know what? I'll give you a week to think about this. I'll see you next week. You think about this, take the time you need. That's a power move, right? But my power move was born out of my own anxiety, my own stress. And that entire week was not spent feeling like, I've let go. No, that entire week was a week of anxiety. And this is what you see in so many people who are trying to go no contact with their ex, or trying to give somebody some space to get their approval back, to make the other person miss them. You cannot try to make somebody miss you from a good place. That is only ever going to be manipulation. Somebody might miss you as a side effect of what you're doing if you're living your life and you just don't have the time to give them all of your attention. That can be okay. But if you are intentionally depriving somebody of your attention in an attempt to get them to like you more, that is some fucked up shit. That is manipulative at best and really codependent, toxic behavior at worst. And yet it is recommended as commonplace practice. That blows my mind now. At the time though, I thought it was great advice because I really wanted this girl in my life. And I thought, you know, if I give her this space, it'll be great. And I spent the entire week feeling anxious and, oh, what is gonna happen? I don't know. And so much stress. And it did work. To a point. We saw each other at the end of the week, and she came up to me and she was very open, very warm, way more pleasant than she had been when we'd been having the discussions the week prior. But I was still operating from that fundamental place of neediness, right? My underlying dynamic was the same. So immediately, I had a week's worth of like repressed anxiety that I had yet to spew at her. So all of a sudden I see her and all of my triggers go off again. I stress, not really stress out, but all of a sudden I want to talk about everything I've thought about for this week. I want to talk about how our relationship's going to progress. How did she do in this week? And once again, my energy is projected solely at her. Once again, it becomes an outpouring of my neediness towards her, because even though I mimicked the behavior of somebody who was focusing on myself, I wasn't really focused on myself. I hadn't really let go. And this is why, if you're watching this video, like, how can I fake letting go? How can I trick my ex sort of by acting like I'm letting go? That bullshit's not gonna work. It might work, but it's going to trap you in a codependent relationship, because the kind of person that would work on is somebody who was like me in this scenario, super anxious and unsure of themselves and didn't know what to do and felt stressed. And that's the reaction you're trying to provoke by making somebody miss you so that they want to be with you. You're using their insecurity as a weapon against them for your benefit. And that might work, but what kind of relationship is that going to create? You think that's not healthy. So, as you can imagine, that week of not really talking very much went by. All of a sudden we saw each other again. Once again, my neediness becomes this outward projection. Things did not dramatically improve like I had imagined they were. And a couple days later, we had a discussion where I finally allowed myself to breathe, to try to see the bigger picture, and to let go. By letting go, I mean to come to a place of acceptance. Letting go means to stop clinging, but really what are we clinging to is our concept of reality. See, if you're feeling like your whole world fell apart, it's because it did. When the ex who you've told yourself is the other half, or my person, or this is the way it's supposed to be, when that falls apart, so does the worldview we have built on top of it, right? We have this foundation, like, this person's meant for me, and this is supposed to be this, and this is gonna be great, and then build all of our lives upon it. And when that falls apart, we feel like we have fallen apart, because in a sense, we have. What we have to let go of, see, we're still clinging to that story. It wasn't really the relationship that I was clinging to. Things weren't that great. I wasn't feeling particularly fulfilled in this relationship. My attachment was to my story about what I believed this relationship meant for me. I thought in the future this was going to be this, and we were going to travel, and it was going to be amazing, and we could start a business together, and it would have been, that never existed. Only in my head did this exist. Present reality was that I was in a kind of rocky patch that wasn't fulfilling for either of us and would be best suited by being parted. But my attachment to the glamorized story was blinding me. I was saying, no, I need you because you're gonna be the one who fulfills my dreams. That projects a tremendous amount of this energy. It's very off-putting if I'm like, I need you to make me happy. You're probably like, okay, I think you're nice and all, but like, I don't want that energy put on me. It's very uncomfortable if you've ever noticed somebody being that way towards you. Anybody who hangs on your every word. At first, it might be a little flattering, but after a while, it becomes clear that it's not very healthy. When we're able to see that we are clinging to a story and not what's actually happening, we're saying, if things stayed together, if it was supposed to be this way and now it's gonna be bad, versus being with what actually is. Letting go is freeing ourselves of that illusion and looking around and saying, this isn't actually that great right now, but I'm acting out of the misconception that it should be, or that it would be if certain things were different. They're not. The relationship, if you're breaking up, if you're broken up, if you're in that place where you're afraid you might break up, it's probably on the rocks. And what's actually in jeopardy is that future you have built yourself on. You've said, oh, I'm going to be great up here, but now I'm down here. But with this person, it's going to be fantastic. That's what's at risk. It's not really our relationship we're worried about. It's how am I going to be okay? What the energy we are projecting at the other person is, I need you to make me okay. I need you to make me okay. You're the only one who can make me okay. Is it any wonder that the needier we get, the further people tend to go away? Even if they don't actually bear you any ill will, that projection is so powerful that it's very repulsive. The opposite, then, is letting go, is relaxing, being with what is. And in my own story, when this breakup was going on, we had one final conversation, and I came to peace before this conversation. I went for a hike, and I was thinking about things. I decided, you know what? Whew, this actually isn't very fun right now. Like, I've been trying to pursue all this stuff, and I've been trying to make it all work, and I've been so miserable for the last couple weeks. I've been so fixated that it's not even like, I'm not enjoying this relationship. And so we got together and we had a final conversation. I said, you know what? We've been talking about how we can make this work and if we're gonna stay together and how we wanna push through this, but clearly it's not working very well. Let's just take a break. And as soon as I energetically let go, over these few weeks, you might have noticed this in your own breakup, something crazy happens where as your respective emotional patterns get triggered, you get more stressed about things, things get worse and worse. It's almost like you're dating another person all of a sudden. You're suddenly not really sure who they are. Like the person you liked kind of went away, and you maybe have become a different person. You're way more stressed, you're way more needy, you're way more clingy because you're afraid. Or maybe you're more avoidant, you're more withdrawn. The instant that I energetically let go, she flipped instantly back to her normal self. We were both able to relax because there was no more projecting of that energy. There was no more clinging. There was no more, I need this from you. And there was an acceptance of, I'm going to do what's best for me because I value myself. And this is the core of the twisted belief that most people have that, like, you want to get your ex back, what you need to do, post some super cool pictures of you hanging out with friends or partying on Instagram, and that'll make them jealous and make them miss you. Once again, we are attempting in that twisted way to manipulate their emotions by pretending that you feel good about your life to get them to want you so that you do feel good about your life. Think about that for a second. The fact that that can be considered normal is ridiculous. That is incredibly twisted, manipulative behavior. If you were to actually choose yourself first by letting go of what not only your ex, but just like everybody cares so much about you, not trying to cling to everybody's approval, not projecting that outward need for validation towards everybody. If you pull your own energy back and choose yourself, then you naturally go out and do things that you like. You naturally focus on yourself. You naturally do all of the things which draw that energetic core back to yourself and make you then more attractive to other people. You're more confident. You're more adventurous. You're more focused on yourself. The person who makes themselves happy, who genuinely likes themselves, they're great to converse with. They're great to be in a relationship with because the dynamic is not, I need something from you. The dynamic is, I'm okay the way I am. And I also like you. Who are you? Let's get to know you. When we put somebody on a pedestal, when we act out of the energy of lack and neediness, what we're saying is, I'm down here and I don't want you to see who I really am. So I'm gonna pretend, I'm gonna try and put on a face, I'm gonna try and be amazing because I think you're so great and you're gonna make my life better. That's that same image that we chase. We imagine the other person to be a certain way, or we imagine our future. We say, this is gonna be so good. And we cling to that desperately because we are trying to compensate for our own inner sense of lack or unworthiness or doubts or whatever. with this externalized projection onto somebody else. That is what we are afraid we're going to lose. That's why it feels like we're dying. We are not dying, but the person we thought we would be is dying. Actually, the truth though, this secret that makes letting go way easier, is that that person never existed. That's the hard part. That's the hard pill to swallow that makes everything else easier once you do, is to realize that you are chasing an illusory projection of my life with this person was going to be great. It wasn't, because it's not. Now, that's not to say it might not be in the future, but if you continue chasing the imagined projection future at the expense of denying reality, you say, well, things aren't great now, but they're going to be one day. If I can just change a couple things about them and me, if we were both a little bit different, which we will be because we'll make it work, then my life will be great. Instead of accepting that maybe things aren't going to work out. Instead of accepting the other person for who they actually are, which incidentally makes a better relationship. If you can accept the other person for who they are, instead of projecting who you hope they will be for your sake onto them, if that makes sense. So when we're doing things like taking a long time to text back, or acting like we're interested in somebody else, or posting, going on some trips or going on adventures and posting social media photos, hoping that somebody will get jealous, somebody will miss us. When we're doing that out of hoping that they will think about us, we are fundamentally acting out of a sense of lack. We're fundamentally acting out of a sense of fear, saying that this person is what I need, and if I lose them, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do anything better, so I have to hold on to them. I have to make them jealous. I have to keep them no matter what. We become very manipulative because our entire self-worth, our entire stability of life is wrapped up in this person. That is not reality. That is not healthy. It's very common, so don't stress if that's where you're at. But you can learn to heal your relationship with yourself by genuinely focusing on yourself, by realizing that you are manipulating the external world to try to feel better inside. You can skip the middle step. You're using the other person as a middleman. Buy directly. Make yourself feel whole. Do what you like instead of hoping for validation and approval as a result of making other people happy. It's incredibly common and it's incredibly disempowering. But when you go out into the world and you are genuinely enjoying your own life, when you focus on yourself, when you are having a good time, doing what you like, pursuing your own passions, you might naturally find yourself texting the other person less because you're busy. You might naturally find yourself going on cool experiences and adventures that don't necessarily involve the other person. Not to make them jealous, but just because your interests don't 100% align, and that's okay. Then you have cool stories to tell them later. You might find that maybe you're interested in somebody else, and you can now actually realize that your relationship's not great and you might be better with this other person, or maybe not, but you're dwelling in the present reality of what is going on, not your future projection of how this person's going to fix it, or this other person, you know what, this relationship wasn't the one, but I need now this next person, she's gonna fix it, oh, he's gonna fix it. That's not real. That's still our projection. That's still our neediness. When you bring it back, you find that other people are more attracted to you because you can be in relationships not out of neediness, but out of a spirit of giving. Because I'm okay right here. How are you doing? What's up with you? I'm interested in you because of you, not interested in you because of me. And that is the fundamental energy that chases people away. That's the fundamental energy that will keep you from getting the ex or anybody good really in your life, is me, 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 me. I need you, I need you, I need you for me, not for you. If you can say, I like you for you, and mean that, because you fill your own cup, you are happy with yourself. This other person's just, frosting on top of your life. They're not the cake. Then you can have great relationships because you can actually, instead of dealing with that projection, instead of dealing with, I need to make them happy so that they make me happy so that our life is great, you can deal with, who are they really? What is this person like? What is their soul about? Who are they? Like, you can fundamentally build a different relationship. Actually, a relationship. Not this weird game of social status and trying to feel better and pedestals and all this bullshit that is perpetuated by the belief that what you need to do is make the other person jealous. Don't do that, please, because if you do, you are choosing the illusion. You are looking at the crumbling illusion that you thought was your life. You say, I want that illusion back. I want to go back to sleep. I want to go back to giving my power away. I want to go back to being insecure and feeling the need to manipulate people. I want that back because I don't know what I am without it. You have the ability now, if you're in this situation, even if you don't get your ex back, by letting go, by learning to fill your own cup, by learning to love yourself, by learning to embrace who you are and that you are worthy of your own love. Inherently, you don't have to prove shit to anybody. By fully absorbing that and embarking on that journey, you will become not only more attractive, but more successful, more happy. You won't even care if you're more successful because you'll be happy anyway, but you'll still be more successful. Everything in your life will improve once you are willing and able to start the process of letting go of the illusory emotional bullshit we've clung to for our entire lives. And if you want to know how you can start that process, you can check out my video on the 4 steps to letting go right here, one of the most popular videos I have ever made. And if you want even more specific help, there's a link in the description. I do one-on-one coaching. You can apply, see if you think you'd be a good fit. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.